Maybe.
together, Juan.
Jeez. Who's here? Yeah, I want to do that one, but I don't want to do it there. I don't know how to do this. It's crazy. Anyways, we're live. Can't get it going. No. I don't know. Anyways, we're here. People. What is this, 4, 5? Something like that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this one going too, so I'm only on your page. And I'm on YouTube as well, so if you want to go to my page on YouTube, I'm trying to get it on the my Instagram page also, but you know, it's not that easy. So what's happening?
Not much, man. Just got done with the show.
Denver fly fishing show, right?
I was always.
I was there.
You were there.
I was there.
Right next to me.
Yeah. I don't know how this. I'm gonna go live on my Instagram. I don't know why. Right there. Okay. Anyways, it's gonna be on mine too. We tried to collaborate, but I don't know. But we're live on mine too, so cool. So Denver was crazy. It was busy.
Busiest one yet.
Yeah, bigger. There's a lot. There was a lot of tires, and there was a lot of vendors.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah. I don't know how many tires did you count?
No, all 4 walls.
Yeah. Let me adjust this a little bit here.
There you go.
There's Tyler right there. Let's get us all in the picture. There we go. We'll just squeeze heads like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw a lot of old friends, a lot of new people. I don't know how many years I've been doing it, but quite a few. So I was there just chit-chatting mostly, but it was a good time. I don't know who all went out of the audience, but we were.
Terry was there.
We were there.
He just commented. He was there, saw both of us. He's from the San Juan region.
Nice. And yeah, we got to talk to a lot of people just on different things, and saw some cool things as far as like merchandise. Got our hands on a few things. But all the cool vendors were there. Scientific Angler. What's the sister one?
Renomed.
How do you say that? Romanid. I call it Reno Med.
Renomed.
That's how it's spelled. So, anyways, yeah, it was a good time, and we just got back from that, and there was a lot of people, so it was good.
I got sick.
I sort of got sick afterwards as well.
That was horrible.
Yeah. Everybody's been sick.
Yeah, but Saturday at the show was bad.
Yeah. And it's a good time to get together with all your friends there and your people and all that good stuff. A lot of good things were happening. So yeah.
Show was in Denver.
Please. Last week was Pleasanton, I think. And then this week, I think there's another one somewhere else. I'm not sure where that's at, but yeah, Pleasanton was last week, and then this week is another one. So, but then we were kind of done with show season for the most part.
Yeah, we kind of wrapped it up.
You did the Hootenanny in Colorado Springs here at the English Cubby.
Yeah, I walked around, talked to some people. It was a cool event.
Yeah,
a lot of cool people showed up. They gave away a lot of stuff. That was awesome.
Yeah. I did not go to that, but that's okay. Heard it was good.
It was. You were working, but you should be.
Well, so I went. That was Saturday. I was in Cheeseman Canyon on Saturday, and so was everybody else. It was crazy. It was stupid. There were so many people in there. So, yeah.
Go figure.
Pennsylvania fly fishing show, and then there's one other. I think that's the end of their season too. So
yeah, it's coming to a close. Time for some spring fishing. Time for bait to start crawling around.
Mm-hmm.
Time for cut bows to be doing their thing.
So I was on the Dream today, and wasn't bad. There's fish on reds, and nobody was fishing them today. I didn't see anybody fishing them. So.
Ooh.
Good job, people.
That's awesome.
There wasn't too many people either, so, but they do get pounded. not much of a hatch anymore. It's kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
Um, and then also in Pueblo as well. Fish are paired up on some reds. There's not a lot, especially where I was up a little bit further upstream, but it wasn't. I didn't see a lot of fish paired up there, and I just didn't see a lot of fish either. So it's been kind of spotty. I think I haven't been down there for a while.
Yeah, we're getting there. We got those cold fronts that just keep coming in, interrupting shit. So it's like things are gonna be a little different off and on for a bit,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
Betis, you've seen caddis,
Mm-hmm.
larvae coming out, so that's all good news. The food comes out, the fish will follow.
And they bumped it just a tiny bit today in Pueblo.
That's cool.
So not much. It's like 128, I think. So that's good. But not a lot going on as far as you kind of hit those pockets where there's just, um, especially in Pueblo, it's been pounded so hard this winter that, you know, did we lose some fish? Probably just a little bit. And they're starting to eat some eggs in the system, but they're still eating midges. That's what they've been seeing. So upper arc guided on that, and a lot of blue wings or beta nymphs actually. No hatches, but some on stones. It's kind of the usual stoneflies, caddis larvae, and beta nymphs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the story. That's pretty much everywhere.
Less spawning going on up there.
Yeah, I didn't see anything as far as any of that, and it's hard to see on the arc. You don't see those. Last year or year before, I saw some spawning, but before and after that, I have not seen them. So there's a lot more rainbows in that system as well.
Yeah.
Used to be like 95% browns, and now it's probably six. I might even be 50%, 50 and 50. I don't know. It's crazy.
It depends where you go, right?
Uh-huh.
What section you go.
Yeah, some are more brown trout oriented, and some are rainbows, but a lot of beta nymphs, and there's gonna be some good hatches coming up soon. Blue wings specifically, and then right after that, especially on the Arkansas, right after that is the caddis. So we're getting there.
Then our favorite, the little black ones with the white wings.
Yep, all summer long. But yeah, so you guys have questions? Let us know. We're kind of just, I almost said freeballing it. We are
You might be.
freestyling it. So
Yeah, feel free to jump in with questions at any time. We do got that class coming up at the end of the month. That might be a 2-day class, do it twice for mayflies. It's going to be a big one. So I cover a lot of the entomology, where to find them, when to find them, what temperatures, where to look for them, how to fish them, how to rig them. This class might be a little longer than a couple hours than the usual class. It's probably going to be one I wouldn't miss for sure. It's one of our favorite bugs to talk about, one of our favorite times of year to deal with. So it's going to be a detailed class for sure.
yeah, basically what we do in these classes, we go and we just start talking about that particular bug anyways, and then just start puking our brains out as far as information. So if you have questions and you want to learn more about those, then yeah, it's a good one to attend. And that's through Anglers Covey, so you can sign up on the web on their website and sign up with them. So that's how you join that. So, but yeah,
A lot of nerdy stuff. You got any more of those Hopper One lid rigs?
I do. I got two sets, a stash tray and a nipper. So they're in black, but I have 2 of them for sale. So if anybody's interested, I just get a hold of me and I can let you know. Bentley, water snipe. Yeah. So again, Upper Arc, the specialist there out of Royal Gorge Anglers, Bentley, Evan Bentley. You guys all know him, big beard, crazy guy. No, he's not that crazy, but he spends a lot of time on the Arkansas. Feeds me all the intel that I need, and so I go to him, find out what's happening, and he's on the water quite a bit. That's why those fish are getting smarter, because of him.
You just don't go enough.
No, I need to go. I need to go more, but there's a lot more people hitting the Arkansas. I think the upper especially, but it can handle it.
Yeah, it's nice when people space out a bit. You know,
Hmm.
it's cool to kind of run away from spawning fish and flip around a little bit more.
Right.
We should see some open still water soon.
So just looking down at 11 Mile, and some of you guys might know better. 11 Mile at the inlet looked pretty open. I mean, there was a big gap of open water. So that's getting close, I think. And then we're already in March anyway, so
Yeah,
it's not like I keep thinking
it's
it's
not extremely early,
2 more months. It's like super early, and then I'm like, wait, it's
yeah, some years it pushed
March.
into April
Yeah,
where we were waiting for ice off, but
not this year.
no. Which is that a threat to early end of the season? The water?
Now it just opens up more water you can fish instead of going to Pueblo or Deckers or
I
Cheeseman.
think so too. I hope that this isn't a sign for an early hot summer. But we have got a couple snowstorms. Right?
Yeah, we'll get a few more, but New Mexico needs some snow. They need snow bad.
Yeah.
San Juan's as well. Rio Grande drainage that they need more snow,
Yeah.
but hopefully we'll get it. Um, so yeah, and then Blue Wings. Blue Wings the next thing, the big deal coming up on all our local stuff, and probably the best thing coming in is the Arkansas upper, and then you get into 11 Mile Canyon and Deckers with the Blue Wings. That's where I think there's probably a lot more opportunity. So yeah, and then ice off at Antero, ice off at um, 11 Mile as well, 11 Mile Res. But yeah,
Say they can't hear us.
no, we're too quiet.
How about now?
Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Okay.
You guys hear us all right?
We got a question over here on mine. You see any marsh browns in the canyon? Are you talking 11 Mile or Cheeseman? Okay, we're good there. Yep.
We're good.
I said thumbs up, people. I said, give me a thumbs up. There you go. I only got one thumbs up.
There you go.
Okay, so we're good.
I haven't got
Marsh browns in the canyon. And is that Cheeseman or 11 Mile? Either. Have not. I don't really see too many of those. Pretty quiet.
Terrio Creek.
Terrial has some, yeah. Haven't been up there though. It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we're seeing just midges. There's two different styles of midges. Like I think in terms of what we see like that little dark brown one, kind of small 2022 somewhere around there, and then a bigger sort of chironomid style with a little bit brighter colors.
Yeah.
We'll see those I think too. So there's two layers of that as far as midges go.
Do we fish jig streamers? Yeah, absolutely. Especially coming into the spring here.
Yeah. So we fished them the other day, Cheeseman, but we couldn't get deep enough actually.
Yeah. Coming back to Denver spring break next week. Where should I go fishing? You got options, man. You got options. Everything's fishing, right? Some days it's going to be better in lower elevations due to the temperature. Some days it's going to be better in higher elevations. So just keep an eye on the temps. Keep an eye on melting snow. That's going to be a big part here coming up.
Yeah, especially Denver, west of Denver.
Yeah, west of Denver.
We can tell you to go, certain places, but
Could all change.
could all change this next week. Could get we're supposed to get a little more snow, but west of Denver, there's a lot more options. I'm not too super familiar, but like Clear Creeks might be something really easy to hit. A little bit more.
Clear Creek, Thompson, Boulder Creek. Still some ice on all those, so hopefully if the heating trend continues, you'll see that a lot of that open up around spring break. If not, you're going to be looking at a lot of tailwater stuff. You're going to be looking at, possibly private properties So
Able
you know,
Ranch is open completely.
yeah, raw
Ice
high.
free.
I hear is pretty open. So I have some access to property on the lower South Platte out of 11 Mile Canyon.
Yeah,
That's awesome right now.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're doing guide trips a little bit more now, especially with a little bit warmer temperatures. We we've been doing a little bit here and there, not a ton, just enough to kind of get us moving and get us off the couch sometimes. So, but we are doing that. So if anybody out there has wants to get on the water, you contact us. Probably the best thing if you have our numbers or you can reach us through Instagram. Let us know the dates, and then we can go from there and let you know if we're open those certain or particular dates that you're looking at. Probably the best thing to do. If you call the shop and request, we might be booked already, so that's always better to work through us. So I'm kind of direct. What you
Yeah.
got there? Crushed fish on what?
Does the waiter Mitch fish well deeper in the water column as well? Yeah. I don't think I've fished it in an area it didn't work. I mean, like I said before, I've used it as a small dry at times. So, I mean, sinking it, the same thing is going to be using like a drown spinner, but drown midge. It's going to get washed into the water columns. They're going to be, you know, probably towards the bottom right after some boulders and stuff. So, definitely feel free to fucking throw that thing in any column. Uh, Pretty much tend to the middle to upper, right? You know,
A little higher with that
especially
CDC.
yeah, with midge hatches going on and
Yeah,
everything. But yeah, definitely throw that thing towards the bottom.
yeah.
I've seen fish turn and move for it for sure.
That's kind of people that are not familiar with like an RS2, they think it's only a floating emerger
Yeah,
right in the surface film. So I see that a lot, on forums or somewhere. But you know how we fish it here, we fish it all the way from
every
bottom to the top, and
yeah,
a lot of times mostly bottom to mid level, and it works. And same thing for that waiter midge; it's going to just fish no matter where you put it. So yeah, what are your questions there?
they were saying they fish it at the Dream Stream, and looks like one of them netted in a big round for another
Oh
one
yeah,
at one time. That's
yeah,
pretty cool. So everybody's starting to come
yeah.
together. That's pretty
So
good.
today I didn't say anything, but we were fishing, and these three guys were at the Dream. They came up, talked to the top, and talked to us. And he's one of the guys, older gentleman, said he caught a few fish on and he said, "Oh, one on the pale ale," and I said, "Cool." I didn't say anything. I should have said, "Hey, that was my." But yeah, we're getting a lot more traction in terms of we're fishing these flies. We've designed them. We fish them. We do everything that we're supposed to do with them, and we test them, and then others test them, tie them, and or tie them, fish them, and then are good with them. So yeah, we're glad you guys are fishing some of our flies, and just keep doing that because
That's awesome.
that's what we like to hear, right? And so, anyways, he said he caught a few fish, but somewhere on the pale ale, and right before they rolled up, we landed one on the pale ale too. So that one's a good one at the Dream, and
Yeah,
it's a good one right now, but especially at the Dream
yeah.
when they're not chowing down on eggs.
Typical size and how dark are the blue egg olives, and do you do any drift trips?
Drift trips first. I personally don't. Um, just not enough water here, bigger water for us to drift. I work with Royal Gorge Anglers in Canyon City. They do drift trips on the Ark. I don't do any of those, but that's just you can contact them and do trips through them. So you can drift the Ark, and it's not usually not a hard side. It's a soft side raft because it's kind of skinny, especially right now. But I got a buddy at RGA, I call it, Cole. He does a lot of drift trips through there, so he'd probably want to get you out on that. So, and then as far as the betas go, or blue wings, sizes, colors, I always stick with probably 22. It's
Yeah,
probably go to. Olive
20.
is a good one. 2022, you're gonna be good.
Yeah, 20 if you tie it short so you
Mm-hmm.
can get a little bigger head on it so you can
2488.
see it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then 22 like on an 1110 Daiichi hook. That's a really good size there. So depending on what you're tying, 20s or 22s, and it depends on the hook style that you're using. So that helps. Um, but yeah, dark is what I like, and sometimes light. I think we talked about this last time a little bit in terms of don't just box yourself into one color.
Yeah.
You can have three shades, let's say a creamy Betis right now, along with a medium dark and then a dark one, because those fish are seeing quite a few different colors, especially as those Betas mature.
Yeah.
Right now, they're some of them are really like creamy or light colored that you wouldn't assume that they are, but they darken up as they get more mature. So yeah, but yeah.
Which color pale ale?
So the OG in with me, it's the that kind of light Cahill body, and then covered with the dark brown back and the clear slim ribs. So that that one right there is kind of that
Primrose.
primrose and light Cahill body. So really like that one. Um, a lot of those midges are kind of that creamy or light, even light greenish, pale, really pale green or just pale
And the dark
yellowish.
back. Kind of like that fly I posted today.
Mhm.
Just got to have that two-tone.
Yeah, that really makes a difference, I think. And that's just the you can tie it in red and use black marker or erasable specifically, and then wipe it off the slim rib, and then you get your red and black. So that contrasting color works really good. So, but yeah,
Split case shady. Yeah,
that's coming up.
I do my dozen split case
I know I got to trade you.
every year. Get a dozen for this guy.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're left in an electrical box. Some
certain parking lots.
certain parking lots under tires and wells, but
We should do that around town.
just randomly go leave flies places. I
Send
don't know.
you guys on a scavenger hunt.
And if we get enough people to keep tuning in, maybe we'll have to just randomly start planning flies places for
Mhm.
people. I like that. That'd be a good.
Half
idea.
dozen, something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
So pay attention. We might be putting up some flies somewhere for the taking.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just gonna get better. It's warm. Along with spring, we get the wind like yesterday. That was pretty bad. That was horrible.
That was brutal.
But we got to deal with that. So, but you know what? Yesterday in Pueblo, I did not see another person.
That's always nice.
Yeah. Yeah. New caddis patterns coming. Not well. I got the Taxman. I do have one.
The knuckle breaker caddis just
Knuckle
came
breaker is coming out with fulling mill, right?
out. Yeah, that's
So it's not new in his world. It's been around for what, a few years?
yeah
Testing.
development.
So the thing, this guy, what he does is he tests his patterns. We test them. We fish them. I fished the knuckle breaker last year. After I saw, I was like, "What the hell is that?" So super simple. It's not really anything complicated.
Yeah.
Super simple, but it once you fish it, when those fish are keying in on certain colors or sizes or profiles, it works great. So that's coming out with fulling mill this year.
This year should
Yeah,
be
so
on
it
the
should be
market
available.
soon.
Yeah. So that's your caddis larva type pattern. Do you do it in a pupa? You can add CDC to it. Call it good.
Yeah, pretty much add CDC instead of the dubbing collar, but yeah, it'd be about the same.
Yeah. For me, I got the Taxman caddis, which is it's still in that testing phase, but like I mentioned, Bentley, the star of the show tonight, he's been fishing it. So I gave some to the people at RGA, and that's kind of what it's designed for. Is that the Arkansas River? It imitates smaller to bigger caddis, and so that's new for me. I put a video out, but that's all I've done. So eventually, after testing, we're going to send it in and submit it and see if they get picked up. But yeah, that's also in. So that's tied. What I need to do is find a different hook. I'm kind of messing around with hooks, and that's what's involved with the testing phase of everything. So what goes on is when we're developing flies, we are looking for the best options available in terms of hooks and what's available to everybody and what we can find and all that stuff. And so we're always testing hooks, testing patterns, and all of that stuff. So
That would be a good one.
that would be a good one.
Handed him a Mustad Alpha Point Curve caddis hook in a 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty durable little
Can't
hook.
really see that, but it's kind of.
It's got just a small barb on it,
Yep.
which I like.
Yep.
Big old eye on it.
The other thing I've done with that Taxman is put it on a jig hook as well. So I need to play around with those a little bit more, get those out and test them. So yeah, that's kind of what's involved with our fly time, um, our testing and research and development, right?
Research and development.
Oh, YouTube channel. This guy.
Yeah, we started a YouTube channel with Nick Bannock, the photographic fly fisher, and fly tire. Sorry, he does extraordinary work with the camera, man, and he's able to see things in the views that I wouldn't even think of as being the one on the other side of the camera. And he just got back from Mexico, so he's going to be putting video together from all the saltwater stuff he did out there. But that's research and development on YouTube. That's going to be hopefully some stuff with Juan, some stuff maybe South America soon, some redfish. We're gonna break the boundaries of what I typically do and try to interject myself into other people's world and maybe tie and design flies for these trips and show you guys the process of really researching what we're going to do and developing flies to do it and then going to do it. So the channel's gonna be pretty cool. It's not typically just about me. It's going to be about a lot of different people that we go out with and people that have originally designed stuff or originally came up with a specific way to fish. And we're going to find out how, why, and go put it to use.
Yeah. So you got what, 2 videos out right now?
Yeah.
And in this world that we live in right now, we want more and more and more right away, right away, right away. But the stuff that the video that was put out, the 2 videos, those are well thought out and well edited, and takes time.
Yeah.
Good work takes time,
It does. And soon we're going to have a lot more time videos coming out. It's a big request. But, the goal is by the end of the year to almost anything that's on my Instagram, we should have a tying video or something behind it by the end of the year. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work that we're pushing to do. We have a lot of videos and plans for the future. And like I said, destination trips are going to be a big part of it to go out and, really get out of the box. I'm trying to talk with Juan about joining us on some of them. We look at going down to Montrose even in July, go fish with Ed's Fly Shop down there and, show you guys a different view of that from our perspective.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting stuff.
Yeah. So that's coming out. I still got my fly tying Friday releases on my YouTube channel. So if there's anything that you guys want to see, just send it over to me. Let me know. Sometimes I'm looking for just that right pattern to post. I let him do his flies, and I do my flies and other flies and variations of some flies, and you've seen that kind of over the last few weeks. So I'm gonna continue doing that for a few more weeks at least. Things are getting, as we get busier, kind of dive into guide season, things get a little bit busier, a little more hectic, and so that I started kind of doing them in seasons. So I think this is, can't remember, season 4, so 4 years doing this. So I do about 9 or 10 maybe, somewhere around there. So that's 10 patterns or so that I have to tie and edit and then try, first of all, think about
By
tying.
yourself.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple. It's not like high quality, super high quality or anything like that, but it's work. So we try to do that, get those flies and get those videos out for you guys. So yeah, so both of us, if you go to our YouTube channel, go like and subscribe,
Yes.
comment. It helps us grow. And again, we want to do that for you guys and provide that service for you guys, and we need you guys to do that. Just subscribe basically, and then comment and grow the channel. So yeah, we'll do more if we can, when we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. How often do you still water fish?
Not enough for me.
You finding that out quickly?
Yes.
Yeah, I dabble in it a lot, but
Yeah.
you're about to go swing in the big leagues.
Yeah, I'm going to Saturday, leaving to go to Pyramid Lake. So first time there. A lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. A lot of different switch rods and learning about lines and learning how to cast and learning the flies, bigger chronomids, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So you talk to everybody and they all have their own ideas about what's good, what works, and you get there and you fish it and you find out maybe some of that works, maybe some of it doesn't. Maybe the fishing's good, maybe it's not. It just all depends, right?
We're gonna find out when you come back. We'll have to do another one of these and talk
Yeah,
all about that.
yeah. So those of you guys who've gone to Pyramid or go to or do all that stuff, it's let me know if there's anything I need. I got a pack still, so
The
yeah.
land of ladders.
What's that?
It's just
Ladders.
the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so ladders, common over there. Switch rods and big heavy rods and big fish too. So yeah,
It's experience, right?
it is.
Like the whole thing. Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm trying to go in the fall.
Yeah. So I'll let you know what you need. So you're just like any trip. You got to pack clothes and be prepared for everything. So yeah.
Favorite Perdigon. Ooh,
Favorite Perdigon?
the aftermarket Perdigon.
Basically, you can change a lot of even our own flies into a Perdigon style.
Yeah,
Recently been doing like the Jedi Master, which is super super simple,
that's awesome though.
and you can add dubbing, you can add flash, you can add hot spots, you can
It's a good dropper.
just leave it
too.
just as black bead and black body, and you got your beta nymph or whatever it may be, but it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, you can change a lot of your patterns into Perdigon style and resin them up and drop them. So yeah, but there's a lot of good ones out there. I mean,
Yeah,
just so many. Like, of course, beta style Perdigons are going to be great right now going forward, and then you're going to run into maybe some caddis type Perdigons. Like, can't think of any, but they're all greenish. Let's say, or
yeah, they're
even
gonna be
creamish.
they're gonna be green. You could tie the knuckle breaker and a jig,
Mm-hmm.
and that does good. Definitely been using one I posted called the aftermarket Perdigon that has that hinge body quill legs
Yeah,
coming
that's
out.
cool. Yeah.
Just subtle enough, but it's durable and it waves around. It's been a good one. Euro nymph again, using it as a dropper.
Yeah, and you can still not necessarily Euro nymph, tight line is what I call it, and fish those smaller bugs, drop shot style.
Yeah,
But yeah, you can fish those smaller things like that. We had a question over there. Did you see it earlier?
yeah. Are y'all believers in hook and bead
No, there's a longer
flies?
one.
He was telling you about
Mm.
don't be
Alice?
afraid to fish 16s. Your standard 10s and 14s don't work. Sometimes those fish get picky.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. So I got plenty of 12s and 14s, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I
That's
could
more
give you some of
16s.
those, but I got 16s. We'll get you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm typically.
I still
used
got to
to.
tie more. So
We'll trade some hooks for some flies. But
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
I got 16s out there.
yeah. What's that one? Best or
Dark olive.
dark olive? Yeah, for the
Probably.
ornaments.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah. Okay. Best resin question we got. I use two resins.
Don't look.
One being Solares bone dry, and then the other's the Loon. I like both of them. I use you have the light, same light I do right here. The Loon light. That's the plasma. That's the big boy. So I think if you have a big strong torch like that, you can cure anything.
Except cancer.
I wish
Probably
that was.
cause
You
it.
probably you probably cause it. So I think those two are my favorites, and I've used most of them, and they all work. And some are, especially the colored, like
Yeah.
black UV resin. Some are better than others. Some are darker. I still use nail polish a lot of times
Yeah. I use
because it stays dark.
use a lot of different stuff. To be honest,
Mhm.
I use Amazon stuff a lot of the time. I mean, I get colors that are more natural. You know what I mean? Just looking up like, what did I type in? It was UV jewelry resin.
Yeah.
And you'll get this list of either kits or individual bottles, and it's the same UV resin you're used to. But a lot of people that I know flare up or something when they use like Solaris or something.
Yeah.
They get this like reaction, and they've used the stuff that I've been finding like on Amazon, and it hasn't been the same. So there's got to be
Yeah.
something in the thinner versus the plastic UV resin versus what we're getting as the Solaris product that does make a difference.
Yeah. And then
But,
again, it goes back to the light that you have, just enough power to
yeah,
cure it. If you're undergun on that side of it, you're going to have a hard time curing it. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're using the right light, and for at least 10, 15 seconds or more, definitely.
yeah.
But yeah. Other questions? What do we got? Oh, so my buddy Dave, um, I got to talk to the Patagonia team on some things as far as the new waders that came out. I actually got a pair too.
I know you spit on monkey.
I know I haven't worn them yet, but I'm taking to Pyramid. So definitely, here's a big thing with the whole wader deal and what's going on as far as the PFAS, which is the forever chemicals that are used in all your outdoor gear and a lot of things, right? So that coming up years from now, few years, 1 year, 2 years, three, a lot of states are banning or outlawing the use of PFAS because those are the forever chemicals that you find in outdoor gear and a lot of things. So there's going to be a lot more bans. But guess what? Patagonia's already
They kicked that, right?
they don't have it, so they're living lonely right now in terms of being the only company that doesn't have the PFAS in their wader gear or even the outdoor like rainwear type stuff. So that's big. And from what I know, like Reddington, they just dropped all their waders and their boots because they don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
a good reason anyway.
yeah, and so they're out there already rolling without that stuff. So everybody's trying to play catch up now. So that's another. I'll push those every single day on waders and outdoor gear as well. So
Yeah, I switched last year.
you did too, yeah.
Yeah, I switched because I sent my Sims in the early spring and I still haven't seen them. I haven't got any letter, I haven't got any note saying where my G4Zs are. So I went and got the new Patagonias, last year's model with the new boots.
Yeah, the forest.
Wow. Man, the knee pads, first off, I didn't realize I needed
Pads.
them till I needed them, right? You didn't realize, especially taking pictures of bugs and all that stuff. That was a huge thing. So that was a huge
It's a game changer.
it really
So what I
it's
told
silly, but
what
it
I told the
is.
team there and told Dave was like, hey, once you get knee pads in your knees and you kneel down, take pictures, net fish. I said it's
You're
like buying a car with power windows. You never want to go back to the old style
Yeah.
and roll up your windows.
Yeah.
It's just you're done with
Game
that.
changer. The
Yeah.
boots, same thing. They were light. I was having back problems. Getting a day 150 in your guide season, your back is done. Those boots did help that tremendously. The tread wore a lot, but I mean, soft rubber. I'll take the trade off. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll swear by Patagonia for
So
everything now.
I ran those boots and I ran them as wet wading boots. And I felt so weird because they're so light. Like I
feel
almost
like
felt
tennis shoes.
top heavy because you're wearing more gear up here, right? Like your net and your other stuff. And then my feet felt like I was top heavy. And I just swear, like, I mean, they were super, super light, but yeah.
They stopped when I didn't think they'd stop, and I'd be like, kaplunk.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we've been hearing a lot of things about Sims and experiencing things with Sims. So I know there's a lot of unhappiness with what's currently going on. So if
Yeah.
you have anything to let us know about, just let us know.
Here was one of my favorite. Blue and olive midge mergers all have ostrich. However, ostrich is the first thing to fall off on the fly. Any way to make the ostrich? Yes. Yes.
Yep, he's got the.
Nano soap. Any really thin gel spun thread. What I'd like to do is actually, I'll hang this. This is hanging off my hook. I'm actually going to spiral the ostrich around the thread and then wrap the ostrich with the nano silk. That way, each wrap, it's just tightly grabbing it and holding it to the hook. I learned that I was doing a crud bug I had posted, and the ostrich, same thing. It would explode or implode underneath the case, and then you can't save it. It's just all messed up. But try, spiraling it around the thread and then wrapping. It'll definitely help make that way more durable.
Yeah. The other thing you could do is if you needed more dubbing loop, put a dubbing loop and then just wrap that in there, and then you can spin that as well. So there's a couple different ways you can do that, but it all kind of achieves the same thing, just reinforcing the fragile quill of that and helps to save it a little bit. So yeah.
Good question.
What else? That is a good question though. And you did that crud bug. So we did our last class with scuds and sow bugs and all that stuff. So that was a really good class that we had there for um,
Showing the combinations, yeah.
showing how we can tie those and fish them as well. So,
Yeah, these you guys need to if you can make it to these classes, pop in on one and you think you'd be surprised on what we're showing. Some of the stuff we do post, some of the entomology pictures that we got, but I mean, guys, we're not even scratching the surface. We have albums that we're showing people of these bugs in different stages they're in, and then we go into detail on how to tie them and how we fish them and preferred methods and different flows. It's a really cool class. And
Yeah.
I think that first one nearly sold out. The second one was kind of in the middle of a lot of things, so it was kind of tough, but still had a good turnout, and I don't know, to have, we have one gentleman that drives all the way up from Chamba.
no, the canals,
Canejos, yeah. He
almost the
just
same.
drives all the way up for this one day a month to come watch us, stays in a hotel to come to this class.
Goes to Costco, goes to our class. So yeah,
And it's humbling, but that's the coolest thing. He's gaining so much out of what we've seen. He says it's changed his complete fishing outlook. So
yeah, we're a little jealous. He's on the canals, but hey,
yeah.
but he hasn't been fishing because it's been so cold. Now it starts to open up, so that thing's gonna
Plus
unleash.
we have an invite, so there's
Yeah.
always that.
Yeah. So then there was a couple mentions as far as the pheasant tail. You can do the same thing with the pheasant tail.
Yeah,
Just to reinforce that. And,
absolutely. I wouldn't
especially
tie
the
them any
nano
other way.
silk. Yeah.
There's nano silk and Vivus is whatever they got.
GSP.
It's all the fact that it kind of tries to bond with itself once you pull on it. Like it's just you get so tight and interwoven, and you're really able to like hide it within small things like a pheasant tail. I think Devin Olson may have been one of the first ones I've ever seen do it, and it was just like boom. I was like, oh, well, I'm never tying a pheasant tail like the normal way.
You get one fish, toothy fish, and it's just kind of blown
Yeah,
up.
it's like, do I tie 100 pheasant tails this year, or do I tie 10?
Yeah.
It's-
Do you believe in hotspot colors? I'm gonna grab that one. I don't know. Some people swear by them. Yes. So you can't discount that in terms of saying they don't work. Again, depending on where you're fishing, South Platte tailwaters, it may not be that big of an important thing to have them, but I don't know. But elsewhere, yeah, I think they do help and they do work. I think,
Yeah.
just as long as they're kind of small. But yeah, like in the Arkansas, yeah, I think a little bit of hot spot or even the tails, I think make a huge difference as far as like the blowtorch. I think it does there.
I have to show you because it's hard for me to explain.
When I look at hot spots, you have, what is this? Flaming red, right? See if we can. Okay. And then you have your typical burnt orange. Yeah. But then we have this fluorescent orange. It's like, I don't know, to me in dirty water, this would almost appear tan, almost like a natural bright color, right? Where all these are kind of this is obnoxious, this will dull out. Right?
Yeah.
But this, like when it gets wet, it holds that lighter orange, but it's almost a tan orange.
And then hit the light on it.
Yeah, then you hit the light on it, and this
It
thing
really
just
blows up.
glows, right? So I feel like you're getting a reaction from the sun, which is really giving you that glow look, but the color in itself is not intimidating, I guess to say.
Yeah.
Where something like this reddish orange looks very synthetic, looks too much, it could be overpowering and take away from a fly. Where I use this on most of my hull colors. I've used it on my leech, to my perdigons, to the hot belly betas and a 24. And this has been a really good orange for me. And I'm sure everybody has their colors because, I mean, purple, right?
Yeah.
I love purple because you can get a dark purple and it kind of blends with everything, but then the bright purple kind of pops. So you have different color hotspots now. But I'm a firm believer in having some kind of trigger point on my fly. And I think using a color to change that is a good one. Using just a spot of a different color UV to change that is a good one. Learn from
And
you,
contrasting
marker.
colors. Yeah, contrasting colors.
Like brown and tan can be just as good of a hot spot as using like a bright pink on a dark body. Like you taught me that at a young age. I've used it on so many different flies, color in the back or using a Sharpie to incorporate a color change. And that's a huge thing.
And we talked about like Eurofly, specifically the beads. we look at them as we don't look at them as a trout. We look at them as a fly tire, and there's just a big old bead, little skinny body.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's what the fish see is just a glow, and then the profile. So they're not seeing gold bead or pink bead
Yeah,
or
they're
something
seeing
like
a
that.
hue of, I don't know what would be a good word for it. It's not even a translucency. It's like a iridescence.
Right. Yeah.
Just a glowing iridescence on the front end, and then bug.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a trigger point for them. Hotspot colors as well. Just again contrasting, I think, colors, breaking it up. You have maybe something just a little bit. Maybe you have black bead and then hotspot and then dark body. That might just break it up enough for those fish to see it, like it, and you know, want to eat it. So that's the whole goal.
Yeah, I do like those brighter colors on a dark bead, like black or a metallic brown bead,
Mhm.
and then you use like a chartreuse behind it.
Mhm.
I really like those kind of contrasts, but then again, using a gold bead and then purple behind it, something to dull out that big old radiant bead, can be the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know many people that try to take away from the bead by putting a duller color right there behind it. You know what I mean? And to me, that's been a key in some of my flies.
Well, and then you look at that, take it a step further. You're going to say, let's put a gold bead, copper bead, and then let's put CDC.
Yeah.
So kind of same idea in terms of like lifelike
Yeah.
flowiness, duller color, kind of kills that a little
Dulling
bit.
it out, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the silver bead, that's a perfect example. It
Yeah.
could be an air bubble. White bead could be an air bubble. Could be an obnoxious thing that just irritates them. Like, I mean,
Yeah. Just a trigger again, just a little
a
trigger.
little trigger, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be the mimic of that in a bait fish,
Mhm.
the little itty bitty flash.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we think about, and sometimes we're up at night thinking about that, or we're sitting watching a movie or something like that, and all of a sudden we're thinking about beads. We're a little weird. I've told people this. We're kind of weird people, fly tyers and fly fishers and bug people and nerds and nerd out on that, and you you think about a lot of things that you wouldn't ever think about, such as this.
Yeah. It's like a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And we just keep going down this damn rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's a safe hole.
Yeah, and then
It's
that's how you
safer.
find it. You get these different patterns that we're tying, and that's sort of how we think or not think even, and we end up creating flies because it's an idea.
Yeah.
Again, going back to your whole research and design, it's just research and then design accordingly, right?
Yeah, I mean that midge I posted today was in my brain for years, and it's like, how do I get this to come out this way? And you got to keep rolling over rocks. You got to keep wetting thread.
Bet you guys roll over rocks.
Oh, see, yeah, we roll over rocks, and licking thread colors to see what they change into when they get wet. Like it's ridiculous the dumb
Yeah.
details we go through to try to
Marker
make it
colors, how much do they bleed? How much,
yeah.
you buy a marker, order markers, and then you test them, and you're like, that's not what I wanted. So then that goes away or whatever. Then you order more, and you just test all these markers to see what works best.
Yeah.
And it too, as you get two different markers, they're two different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we roll rocks over in the river, but we use our fancy waders with knee pads so we don't get injured as we're advancing in age.
Yeah. Or it's ADHD maybe. Well, it definitely is. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's at least we're being productive. Like,
Yeah.
It's I don't know, man. It's a satisfaction at the end of it, right?
Mm.
You got a good looking bug. Other people can possibly relate to it and go, damn, that looks like what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
And then you have a community of people that go out and fish it, and they're like, wow, this really works well.
Yeah.
And then it just makes you feel good that, hey, cool, one, I'm not crazy. Two, I didn't just waste a bunch of time for me to catch fish. More people are using that to their
Right,
advantage too. But three is just like the fulfillment of like finally getting that idea out of your brain on a hook. Yeah, it's like an artist painting their picture. It's like sometimes you just can't get it out the right way. And you may think, oh, it's good enough. And you go fish. Oh, I caught a few fish. But really, it's not quite what was in your brain. It's not there. So it
Completely,
forever
yeah.
eats you and keeps you awake until it finally you get it out right.
Mhm.
It's kind of haunting, but
Mhm. Yeah, and that's how fly designers, that's what we do. We're always tinkering with something and trying to find what works better for us, what works best. And not only are we fly designers, we're guides, so we're testing these constantly and we're running ideas across each other and having other people fish our bugs and just trying to see what, we may have a great idea and it looks good on paper, or in a lot of cases it looks good on Instagram. But what happens is we got to get it out there and test it, and that's what we generally do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of our process of fly design and fly creation, and then once we test it, then we can submit it,
Yeah.
and then it's up to other people to decide whether or not they want to carry it, whether or not it'll sell, if they have room for it this year. So what's happened to a lot of people is that you may have a good pattern and you submit, but it's just not your year. They're not the cycles sometimes go, especially the past few years, a lot of perdigons, right? So if you're not
Yeah.
tying perdigons, you might not have a shot at getting into the cycle. Next year might be saltwater flies. Next year might be um, carp flies. And so if you're not submitting some of those style flies, you might have to wait for a while, and
Yeah.
that gets tough.
I feel like the market, the fact that they're fish catching machines is like so bottom on the list of reasons why the fly doesn't get to come out. And I think one, that's where it's cool to have a community like you guys where we can teach you or do a video and you're out there tying it, then you're fishing it. We don't need a company to sit there and sell it, right? We're able to get you guys tying it fast enough that you're able to use it with no production time, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's cool for us to see them out in the fly shop. Sometimes we don't get a minute to tie, necessarily the fly we wanted to. We can grab them at the shop. That's always a cool little thing. But I think when it comes to some of the best flies that are tied, that are out there, they aren't even on the market. And I think to really stick in tune with the people that you guys are following on Instagram, the people that you guys are watching on YouTube, and the people that are showing you how to tie their fly, take advantage of that, because it doesn't mean that their fly isn't good enough because it's not in the market. It's more of like, this dude, how many flies do you tie versus how many you have on the market?
Oh, I mean, everybody always asks me what new fly patterns. I got a lot of new fly patterns to me in my box that I've never even tried to submit, or I've not put out on Instagram. I've not done this. I've not done that. It's just like I still need to test them, and I still need to tie more of them.
If
And
you're
fish
ever
'em.
if you're ever on a guide trip with this guy and he pulls out a box, I recommend you stop casting and stop looking at your indicator. Well, look at his box. He's got so many flies that people have never seen that he's been, cranking out, that he's got in his head, that he's tweaking. And I can tell you firsthand, he probably looks at more bug pictures and pictures of his own flies when he's tying than he does to pull up somebody else's, fly and go, oh, okay, this is a copper john. I'm going to try to tie this, but not this.
Mhm.
Like, you're always going to end up tying something that is that fly you look at. But when you're looking at the real bug, when you're looking at your own fly that you've created, that you've looked at the real bug, you're now, making a better fly that's a better you. You're starting to take your own flies and
Yeah.
then improve them. And then that fly, that the Slim Shady, the first one you ever tied, you remember that?
Mhm. It
Now
was-
compare that to today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Is it more functional? Is it looking better? Like, it's all the above, but it took you years of, let's add another leg. Let's split flash instead of this.
Yeah.
Or let's do a gray wing case in there. Like,
And it evolves. We've both done our patterns, or whatever they may be, with the ostrich hurl
yeah,
as the thorax. And it's not a new idea or anything like that, but it just changes the profile of it, and it changes how it looks. So you can definitely put, I have other fly ideas. I'm working on mixing a lot of this and that, and coming with a different pattern that doesn't exist right now, but sort of exists with me, and sort of exists with another idea. So there's a lot of that. So it's a matter of time of just tying it up and then seeing how it looks. Sometimes you tie it up and you're like, doesn't look like I imagined it would, but
Yeah.
you still fish it sometimes, and you're like, doesn't look good, but it fishes really good. And that's a lot of what we come up with.
yeah.
And and then that's where my box is like, maybe I won't submit it because I don't think it's going to go anywhere, so I don't submit it, and it's just a fish catching machine in my box, and it works great. So yeah,
You have a lot of this.
yeah, and same thing. You know, just change up some of your patterns in terms of your favorites and mix and match and kind of try new ideas, different ideas. Like I said, so like the whole Slim Shady series that I have, I can do a back end of the Slim Shady and then change the front end completely to a CDC emerger to a split back.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a not quite a modular system when you start thinking about that, but something.
Well, that's how mayflies kind of work, though.
Mhm.
You know, they have that back end, and the front end's all that's changing. You know, they
Yeah.
develop the wings up there, they shed from up there. Everything happens in the front end.
Yeah.
So, you know, paying attention to the back end of people's betas and mayflies, like everybody's kind of taking a different concept, a different idea, or by chance finding a cool material that they like to use. And go, oh, nobody's used this. I'm gonna try this. I've been working with, coloring tippets with markers for years. Ice thread was around forever. Now Semperfli finally came out with the mono rib, and that's coming out in a bunch of different colors and sizes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a cool thing to start doing videos with and show you guys, what I was customarily working with back in, the late 90s into 2000s. The stuff that was on hand and it was available that just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So a lot of materials I find came ahead like that came out before its time. Like people aren't really tying small bugs. They weren't into that. There was more streamers, bigger buggers, big stone flies, different egg patterns.
Yeah.
It wasn't and then
And a lot
huge
of big
dries.
foam flies.
Yeah, big dries.
Yeah.
So like to have some of this material being now recreated and reintroduced, it's not new. It's just now available.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to make a difference for a lot of people too, is having some of these companies we work with bring back some materials that we haven't been able to get for years.
Yeah. So here's an idea and maybe a challenge, let's say, for both of us. If you get the back end of his fly and the front end of one of my flies, or vice versa, or change his back end of his wader midge and put some slim rib or something like that, and then do the front end of the wader midge, you'll have all these endless combinations of things you can do, and you might find something that's just like, that thing is killer, man. So you can certainly do that. That's what I do with my own flies a lot of times, and then I starting to do that with a lot more different ideas with other flies as well. So yeah, you can come up with something not 1,000% your own, but you're not, if you're not submitting it, it's cool. As long as you're fishing and catching fish, just show those fish something different, just along the lines of what we're looking at, and then kind of borrow from him, borrow from me, borrow from somebody else, and combine those and see what you can come up with. So that's kind of a challenge that, if you do send us pictures and see what they look like. But yeah, or fish them and send us pictures of the fish you catch with them. That'd be cool.
Here's one for you. Do you think that there are new flies still being created today? As
That's
a whole,
tough one.
I'm talking functionality, all the things we consider it being new.
That's a really tough question, because I could say yes, there is, and then I can also say no. We're just building, like I'm saying, we're building on ideas already out there. Somebody's already done it, maybe not with the right materials or the materials that we have available now. So, to a certain extent, yes, because it's new, nobody's doing it. There's, I think in your market, in my market, you're tying a lot of small midges, small flies using mono. That's kind of your signature in a sense, but then you're doing a lot of things up front, colors and different things. Mine is the slim rib that I'm using for my flies. Nobody's using that to design, and it's just something that nobody. So that's where I kind of made my little mark, my signature, and then building on the front, the merger or the nymph or whatever it may be. So we have our own little worlds that we're in, and then if you look at like the Euro guys, they're using a lot of tinsels, and so that's been dead. So the Euro style, I think Euro design,
It's getting very narrow.
know that there's a lot of new development in that. I would say that's a lot, way more narrow than a lot of other things. For a while there, the streamers exploded. 10 years ago, there was just nothing but streamers being created with new materials. And so, yes, there was that time where you can come up with a bunch of different things.
I feel like
But
even
yeah,
streamers, there's so many materials in that fly that
Mhm.
like there's so many possibilities. I think we're scratching the surface
Mhm.
at points in there because now
Yeah.
the techniques and stuff like I'm gonna start messing with it more. You see more big flies from me, but um, playing around and even talking with Steve Maldonado, these big flies, it's an addiction that I've tried to avoid for a long time because there's a lot of materials
Yeah.
involved. But it's gonna happen this year. I'm gonna start tying some bigger stuff. But it's so cool the way that we're incorporating synthetics with older materials.
Mhm.
I think you have your old school tires, then you have millennial tires that are using pretty much all synthetic stuff. But then you got like us that are kind of our generation's taken some of the best of the old school
Yeah.
and some of the
Makes it.
best of the new school
Mhm.
and threw them together. And personally, it's my favorite style of flies. Like I like when somebody can be like, yeah, I took this out of like Davy McPhail's so and such,
Mhm.
and then I incorporated this from Devin Olson, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. There you
I think that flies bagger, but like those are two random ass
Yeah.
people, right? But that's a cool concept, I think, in our age of tying.
Yeah.
But it changes as new stuff comes out because, like I said, now we're having materials that used to have been around are now being reintroduced or reinvented and coming out again.
Medallion cheating. Did you use that back in the day? The OG stuff.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah. So that's the clear wing, but the medallion cheating.
I have a stash of it.
So just a little inside knowledge that there's the Gen 2 out there that hopefully is going to hit the market soonish. So if you like that stuff
do.
back in the day, that would be that's coming out eventually. And
Yeah,
that opens up a lot more. So
I like that
um,
because this stuff like
that stuff's cool.
this stuff's cool, but even the medallion cheating, like towards the end of its life, I guess. Um, did you notice there started to be more layers and layers to it?
So they came out. Yeah, the original OG stuff died, and then they came out with a new one.
It was all sticky.
That one was bad.
Yeah. So then now they've done it again.
Layers and layers. So now it goes back to the OG recipe kind
And
of
Hairline's making that?
MFC
Ooh.
eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed. Right?
16-month process.
Yeah.
That's what we're learning, guys. Everything from the idea, saying everything just kind of, hits its mark and goes the way it's supposed to. It's like 16 months to get something from the idea to even a sample. And then that's saying like anywhere in between there, if you have to alter it, that starts at 16 months over. So that's it's a
Hooks.
huge process, especially with hooks.
Yeah, especially. So, and then just other materials. There's a lot of great ideas and a lot of new materials coming forward. But yeah, there's machinery involved. There's all this and all that. And so, yeah, there's
And
a lot of
shipping.
things going in. Yep, exactly. Any other questions? What's that? Like Trina squirmy worm material? I do.
That new stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
You can also get the tan, which is really light, and then marker it up, and you can turn it into your certain brown that you want. You can put your little bands on there, a little darker, so you can marker those things up, and they work really well. So yeah, I got to play with those a little bit more, but you can kind of super custom.
I've been wrapping it on a hook, like a 200R style as a crane fly.
Mm-hmm.
And
can do
you
that.
said you mark it up. It's good
Yeah.
stuff. I like the core behind it. Like I'm so sick of seeing bits of squirmy worm on the bank.
Yeah,
It's like a bunch of ice fishermen just got
it has
done.
broken off.
Yeah, they just got done fishing down there. Like I don't know. I'm very salty that one of my friends put one in one of my boxes, my midge boxes, and it just totally melted that whole freaking cubby
It's just
together.
a block.
Yeah, and it's just like
It's like cheese. Whenever you get cheese on something and it warms up just a little bit, and then just like
yeah, or if you got Cheeto dust on your fingers and you forgot, then you touched everything, but now you know
Yeah.
what you touched.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, a nuisance to to me to see that. So the new stuff is really cool that it's not going to be scattered everywhere.
We'll take a few more questions for a little while. Let's see, I got one here. What are your favorite foam flies in the 12 to 16 range? So, everybody's gonna say chubby, but it's a cool fly, right? And
It's just
as
easy
long
to
as
see.
fish continue to eat that chubby in that small size, we're gonna fish it. I'm a big fan of small hoppers. That 12 to 16, they get a little harder to tie, but if you tie them on the right hook, you can get away with it. But yeah, chubbies, small little hoppers.
Hopper ones.
But then again, what is another one? There's MFC has some really good small bugs that are foamy. Water walkers,
Water walkers. Really
those are
good.
cool. And that one's kind of the opposite of the chubby, where you really can't see it. It sits so low, but
Yeah,
that's
it's like
what you
it's
want.
a sipper.
It's a very it's just one of those little things that fish come up and boop.
You
eat
guys
it.
did really good in the upper arc.
Yeah. And I fished them in Deckers last year and had those little slow eats. Just whoop.
Yeah, and they even did a salmon fly
Yeah.
one, right?
Mhm. I think so. And then what other foamy type stuff? Always caddis. If you can float those a little bit better.
The foam body caddis.
Foam body caddis wrapped. So like Larry Kingray, you've heard me talk about him. He's got that better foam caddis, and then there's some other like Pewter Baugh has that black foam caddis. That's another good one too. So yeah, those are kind of some of those favorites. A small Amy's ant, right? That always works. Those sit pretty low, a little harder to see, but definitely good. So yeah. Okay, what do you got stuff on yours?
It's a stubby chubby. I'm not a fan of the stubby T hook. I feel like it's too short, especially for some clients, that may be setting a little too quickly. I always had problems with it. Did you have problems with the
Wait, what was
stubby
it?
T hook?
No.
They may
I
just
fished
use
some
those.
smaller, medium, 12s, 14, 16s. But sometimes you just miss fish.
No, I mean, like,
Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, well, that stubby chubby they made, I always found like, especially where like Terrell Creek specifically is where it's happened. The fish would come to heat it, and it's like their nose would hit the back of the fly before they could get to that stubby hook.
Yeah.
So I like.
I blame the fish.
Yeah, but I like the small chubby because I felt it was longer. There was a little more to grab.
Yeah, I blame the fish if they knock it and don't flush it down.
No, I always blame the fly.
Yeah. So then there was a question over here on this one about a material called Stretch Flex. Do you know
Do you have a material for
the material? So
Flex Floss?
Stretch
wait.
Flex,
I think that was a uni product, no?
or that might be
Where it was like Flex Floss, but it was on a
on
spool.
spool. That might be it. The other option is like Scud Back, the flat material.
Yeah.
That might be a Stretch Flex. So those, I'd say one or the other of those. But yeah, that might be what be referred to. What is that one there?
He says he fishes it still. I could be. I mean, usually, I'll say it straight. Usually, when I see a hook that's a different shape, stubby T hook, down eye hooks, like they just look weird to me. And it's hard to have confidence in something new that looks weird to me. Fishing the same, style, probably same 5 style hook since '93. Like it's really, when I see something different, my eyes go no, right? But then it like Juan said, it could be the fish, it could be the specific clients I had that fished them those days. It just wasn't my favorite dry fly. It just really wasn't. I like I forget who ties it, that foam body humpy. Where
Yeah.
they had foam wrapped in the middle and
On
stuff.
the up and over. Yeah.
And they brought foam over the top. That was a killer fly. It was highly visible. Held up a good 2.8, I think, is what I was throwing under it. And my clients could see it, and it didn't take much floating to hold it up. That was probably one of my favorite flies, especially in yellow, through
Yellow Sallies.
through
Hoppers.
the middle of the summer last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Royal Wolf in my book still a solid fly that you could fish in any size.
Yeah.
We were throwing them in 10s over the summer in certain places and crushing fish. I don't know. I like my old school dry flies.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to come by because you can only do so much with foam, and I feel like foam gets chewed up. It gets logged up with floating and dirt and dust, and it's nice to throw these like full body old school dries once in a while.
Yeah. Let's see, got one over here somewhere. Question. Talk about using different materials if you don't have what's in the recipe. Good question.
I mean, you just change brands usually, and you're fine. Going to Hobby Lobby and finding the equivalent of something you already have, so you can kind of feel the textures. Those are good options.
Yeah. Um, and what usually comes up is that you live in the boonies and the nearest fly shop's 2 hours away. You can order stuff, but you don't. So what happens here? Let me back up. Got a thing to go on. Okay. What's happening? You go to the fly shop or you go online to order something and they're out of stock. And we were talking about this earlier, I think, about the distributors like Hairline and Wapsi and those companies, even MFC and some others, they're out of stock. So the shop doesn't, they place a big order for $5,000 from Hairline and they get $2,500 of it. And so you go to the shop and you're like, man, these things are, I just can't get the hooks. I can't get this. I can't get that. And that's what I need. So yeah, what we're using. So our friend Hans has his lineup of the bombs. Is it the bombs?
Yeah.
So like
And
the
the
Scud
eggs.
bomb and the eggs, the sunny side up eggs, and that material that he's using, it's really tough to find now, and we can't find it. So if we're pushing this fly and you don't have that material, now in that case, there's really not another material, so you're kind of screwed. Um,
Yeah, to do exactly what he
you
wants
have
to
to
do with
do
it.
that with the material that he's specking.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we run into that, but in the case of like, hey, we're using uni thread and that's what we're calling for and olive done. If you don't have uni thread and you have Vivus and olive, it might work just fine.
Yeah.
It might actually work better for you too. So try to sub what you can. It's kind of hard. You know, one of mine is if I'm using slim rib, then the fly like the Slim Shady is going to be a lot better with slim rib, because if you use micro tubing, it just, and I get it all the time. It's like it just doesn't look the same, doesn't work the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So there are certain things, you know, if you're using 7x mono on your bodies and you're all you have is 4x, it's not going to work the same. So you want to try to get what you can and match it according to the recipe, because that's what we're putting it out there for. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's one. When people are fishing worms, eggs, and leeches in the spring, what is your go-to bug to tie and be different than everyone else?
as far as the attractor goes, I think it goes again the watershed that you're fishing. If there's a lot of stones, fish stones. If there's a lot of, um, what I was saying today with my client was if the water's really low and you're fishing a worm, may not work that well as opposed to when the water's high.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, he's saying when everybody's fishing worms, eggs, and leeches. So
yeah, you don't have to.
spring.
You don't have to.
I'd say stones. I was actually tying some today, so no, I guess they're not so little. Size 12, 14 mayfly stones. Anything to look like anything that's going to get washed around. Uh, I'm a huge fan of throwing big annelids. I mean, it can look like the worms, can look like the annelids. What's another good go-to? Crane flies.
Mm-hmm.
Crane fly larvae is another good one.
Yeah.
I saw a question on here that said, why do buckskins work so good at Deckers? That's another good fly that I've rethrown. It looks like a caddis. It
Yeah.
looks like a caddis larvae. And they tend to be big and small in Deckers. And I would not be opposed to throwing a size 12 buckskin in Deckers because you will catch fish. It's a deadly fly. It just falls apart very easily. But
And it crosses over too. So bigger buckskins can pass for bigger caddis, but they can also pass as smaller cranefly.
yeah,
And then they fill in that gap of maybe if the fish sees it, eats it as a worm. We don't know that, but they can eat it as a worm in that bigger size. So yeah, it definitely works. And to say it doesn't work anywhere else isn't true, but it works really well in Deckers.
North Platte, Wyoming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so again, certain things that you're looking for, when other people are fishing worms and, everybody wants to fish a leech. I think if I asked 10 of you guys out there, if you're fishing a leech, 9 of you would say yes. And Bentley would say a mop fly. He's fishing with a mop fly. But, so, try to be a little different. Like we talked about last time, I think, or we talked about it in the class. You don't always have to fish an attractor fly. You don't always have to tie
So
on
he
a
says
stone
why is-
or a worm or anything like
Why
that.
is the tail so long on it if it's a caddis or a crane fly?
The tail on a buckskin,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to tie them on there either. When you get to and that's from what we're seeing and we're understanding is Pat Dorsey's tying those and he's fishing those and he's promoting those as the way he ties his buckskin, and he puts a tail on it, right?
Yeah, which the caddies do have that little grabby
Mhm.
tail.
Yeah, and so Pat has his reason for putting the tail on there, right? Um, you don't have to put the tail on there at all, but once you put the tail on there, it imitates, yeah, just like appendages hanging
Appendages,
out.
legs. It just looks a little different, you know, and also swells up, kind of looks like a second length, like a body stretching out.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of reasons, I guess, that he could put it on there, but I mean, it's a deadly fly. It's kind of like the top secret. You know, it looks like a lot of different stuff, and just
Yeah.
it's awesome. It
And
works
if
really well.
if you again the whole thing going back to fly designing, and that's not his pattern. That was actually, I believe, from what I remember, Ed Marsh here in Colorado Springs is the original designer of the buckskin, and that was probably back in, I would assume, 70s, 80s, maybe,
Yeah,
long time ago.
when they were actually using buck
Yeah,
skin.
and
you
then
know.
same with the Brassy. It was originated here for the South Platte in Colorado Springs. So there's a lot. This little town here has a lot of history and
Absolutely. A lot of legends around.
definitely a lot of flies have come out of this little town. So, but yeah, so I would tie it with and without the tail, fish them, and see if there's anything that stands out to you that work. Maybe one works better than the other. So let me see if we got some more here. Thanks. Yep, stretch flags. What is your go-to tool for splitting thread, and how small thread size do you attempt to split? So that's another good question. Is how does your tool for splitting thread? My preference is a little bodkin, with sharp bodkin. Those are a bunch of pins.
These are pins for sewing, so pin up your
Mhm.
pant leg or whatever you're sewing. Fine tips, something you can grab and shove through, but it does have a flat end, so if I shove it through, it'll stop.
Yeah, and then there's special tools, but basically you want to untwist your thread. So like something like a uni is a little harder to split than say like a one of the easiest one is a UTC thread.
Right? Or a nano silk.
Nano
When
silk
you
can
give it some slack, you can get
straight
in
and
there.
flat.
But if it's tight, it's hard. So you always want to kind of give yourself a little bit of
Let it
slack.
just kind of open up.
Let it open up and then right through the middle.
Yeah. So yeah, you can split nano silk 18-aught pretty easily. Check out Malcolm. Um, and that's easy to split. And so yeah, like uni thread might be a little bit more difficult because it's corded a little tighter, and so you want to make sure you untwist it. You can still do it, but it's a little bit harder. Malcolm,
Love Malcolm.
not a better place to fish than CO.
Malcolm's a guide with us at Anglers Covey, but he's also a teacher. The dude has some patience, man. He's great with children too. Awesome guy.
Yeah. What do we got there?
Might head to the Dream Sunday, worried about the crowds and what flies are good for those lake run fish. Whew.
Weekends are bad,
Yeah, weekends are bad.
but don't fish during the week because that's when we are.
Watch for reds.
Yeah, don't fish the reds. Did I mention it? We saw a bunch of reds. I didn't really see a lot of fish on them. Didn't see anybody fishing the reds.
Good. So just keep an eye on the reds.
Don't walk through them.
No, these lake run fish are going to be eating small betas. They're going to be eating. I'd throw annelids at them. I would throw wader midge, foamy homies, foamback emerger, chocolate style. I have tied it with a golden pheasant tail too, and that's a really good one too for the PMD hatches. That's free. What else would you throw there? Slim Shady, Sniper betas.
Yeah, and everybody's
bugs.
throwing eggs. Guess how
Uh,
many fish ate eggs today?
I would throw scud before I throw that. You got a lot of scuds that can get washed around starting to come out as the spinny turns, which is one of my favorite time years to look at the dream is when spinny's starting to turn over.
Yeah.
You get a lot of scuds coming out, a lot of fish keying in on those scuds. But I would focus more on mayfly, small betas. Anything that I tie and he ties in a 20, 22, and then followed by a smaller midge.
Yeah.
Probably 6,
They-
5X.
They did eat midges today, and run an egg, run a midge, and they would touch the midge.
So
Same
weird.
thing yesterday in Pueblo.
We haven't been there in a while, and it's just like it's burned into our brain. If I had to go there tomorrow,
Yeah. So yeah, there's plenty of Sunday, you know, you're gonna fight the crowds. There's gonna be a lot of people. Usually Sunday's lighter than Saturday, so Saturdays are crazy.
But he's going tomorrow, which is Thursday.
Oh, tomorrow to Dream
Oh, he said Sunday. You're right.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough Sundays. Sunday's the worst of the 2 days.
Yeah.
I think.
And don't, you know, here's the other thing too. You don't have to be determined to go chase lake run fish. There's plenty of fish in there that are this big to bigger. We got our butts kicked by a big fish today. Broke us off, ate a pale ale. We didn't have a shot. We didn't have a shot at that. And you know, you get a big fish on there, you know it's big, it's just like that, and then it just stopped. And you could just feel that battery recharging, and then it did one of those big head shakes.
It was like,
Gone.
give me that.
Yep, gone.
So yeah, I wrote Bentley off when he said mop flies, but he ended right back with the sow bugs.
I think here's what probably happened. He didn't know how to spell sow bugs, and he misspelled it and put mop fly.
Okay, I
And
see.
then has to look up how to spell sow bugs.
Common mistake.
Yeah, that's
Because
probably
that's
what
what I
it
heard is all those people urinating from those big mops is why we're getting those little clear spots in the spring in the rivers.
is. Cleaning up bottom.
And then the trout just go bed on them.
Yeah. What else? We can finish up here soon. It's about 8:30.
Juan needs round 2 on tacos.
We'll take more questions if you got them. Give us some more, and then you know, we appreciate you guys tuning in and sitting here just talking about stuff. We really do, and we you know, we like doing these, just kind of interacting with you guys and just sharing what we know.
No script, no written stuff, just talking.
Yeah. All right. Didn't see any lake run fish in P-Town. How come?
A little early.
No lake down below. Not in P-Town.
Yeah.
So
You're not gonna see lake run fish, but you're gonna see some big fish soon.
yeah, so you'll see some big fish. There's reds down in Pueblo. Bentley just skipped school. And went
He
fishing.
just skips bullet fish.
There are fish paired up. It's still a little early. I mean, it's March, very first part of March. So we're not quite there yet. There'll be more fish on reds. And again, kind of just be careful on those. You know, if you see somebody fishing them, just, you know, be kind and share with them why they shouldn't be fishing that. And
Nicely tell them to go away.
yeah,
Like it's
Yeah.
it's all you could do.
yeah. But so here's what I see at the Dream. There's a lot of reds. There's not a lot of fish on them, whether or not they've finished or whatever may be happening, but there's a lot of reds. So what that means is if we're not walking through those reds,
It'll be a
the-
lot of fish.
the fish that hatch, you know, they have a hard enough time anyway surviving. So, but if we can get a good heavy class of fish coming, you know, from the spawn, that's really, really helpful for the fishery.
I'm still behind saying we close that thing in the spring and the
Yeah,
fall,
me too.
or at least petition fishing it
At
spring
least-
and fall.
Or at least cut sections of it.
Yeah,
Maybe that lower section just off
I
limits.
mean, a lot of us remember what the Dream was, and it can still be that,
Yeah.
but we have to respect that source. And it's just the lack of people that respect the fish trying to run in, the fish trying to come up and spawn, the fish that would love to stay and hang out throughout the summer. You know, we're chasing them back out, and
Yeah.
it's going to keep happening. It's going to get worse and worse until we wake up and decide, hey, like we need to stop going out there when we see beds, let them do their thing and get out.
Yeah, and same thing for Pueblo, Deckers as well. Same thing in 11 Mile Canyon. All of these fisheries that, you know, we're fishing for wild fish. So what you may not know is that in Pueblo, those little tiny what we call pickles, every year they show up that November time frame, and you can't catch any big fish because you are catching little fish. It's because those little fish just hatched in the spring.
Yeah.
And now they're growing up. Now they disappeared. You can't catch them anymore, but they're somewhere hiding, and they're probably about this big now. And then come springtime, they're getting bigger and bigger. So that first year of fish in Pueblo, I believe those fish grow a bunch.
Yeah, we get to 18, I believe,
Yeah.
by the end of the winter. I'd say coming into next spring,
Next spring,
they're like 18 inches, and they're thick, and they'll
Beautiful.
handle you.
beautiful fish. So yeah, those are not stockers as far as I know and believe. Those are those fish that are spawning right now, and next year they're going to be bigger fish in terms of being able to catch them. So yeah, just be careful and all that stuff, and you know, if you want a better fishery, treat it better. Than got one here, a question. Favorite midge emerger pattern on the Arc and Bighorn Canyon. Again, if you've listened to us, we offer several options in terms of my flies, his flies, a combination of them. There's not just one pattern in particular. There's
A list.
a box full of options.
From foam backs to CDC to your sparkle wing to the chocolate foam back emerger
Yeah.
to there's so many endless possibilities. Best thing you can do is take samples and kind of scroll through the profiles and look, hey, oh, that looks like what I'm seeing. There's one above his too. Streamer patterns. I mean, we both kind of agree that the bugger is probably our favorite streamer of all time. It's relative in size. It works good around our waters. We can fish it under an indicator. We can throw it as a streamer. It's just a go around streamer pattern.
Yeah.
Obviously your dungeon's a cool fly. You got your sidewalker thing, and you got Clouser was one of my favorites as a kid to tie because you caught striped bass on him in Lake Mead. There's just a lot. There's a lot of cool streamers out there, but we spend most of our time with the small dirty bugs. Here was one that asked your favorite crawdad pattern. That's hands down. There's one on the end there. Shane's Grenade.
Was it this one? No,
Either one of those.
Yeah, these guys you don't know much
Shane's
about.
Grenade. If you haven't checked out Dirty Rig Fly Co. Shane Schuster, these things are freaking amazing, man. Stripping them on the bottom. He did a balanced one for me for under indicator fishing, and he's really opened up my ice fishing game using these guys ice fishing. So I mean, that's probably my favorite crawfish pattern. He's even got some that he ties in tans and olives, so those are really cool.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just don't fish them and you don't know much, and you just again find a couple,
Hans.
take him out and fish. What does Hans say?
Hans. He waves.
He's there. So yeah, and again, going back to the midge and merger pattern, have a handful of different patterns.
Yeah.
We would fish. We'd suggest wader midge, money midge merger with the flashy money, bone backs, like you said, just a bunch of different patterns, and there's not one single fly that works great every single day. That's why there's so many patterns, and that's why we carry so many patterns. Is it changes? Those fish just change their mind like crazy. So they'll eat one big time one day for maybe 2 days, and then they switch over to something else.
And the more rivers you fish, the more variety you'll need, the more sizes, the more colors. So it really depends if you're staying in a local area, or if you're actually taking off and going to do different places and fish different creeks and rivers.
Place was slammed on Sunday. That one's where
Dream,
yeah, on Sunday. It's just tough, and they'll eat eggs, and then they'll switch. Same thing. They'll eat eggs on the Dream one day, and then next day they won't.
Yeah.
And, it kind of goes back and forth. So always have just an open mind, and what you think you have a game plan going in, but if you're getting your butt kicked, you got to change your game. You got to time out or halftime, change your plan.
especially in the spring. Be open to change. There's multiple times we're carrying 2 to 3 rods. Having a dry fly setup, having a hopper dropper setup, having a Euro setup. All these can be key in success. And if you're not willing to change, you go in with the mentality that I'm going to catch them on a pegged egg with a San Juan worm and a RS2 behind it. I mean, sure, you'll catch a couple fish, but you're going to limit your success, and you're the only one doing that to yourself. We have laws, right? We don't have rules. We're not in competition. I'm not on Team USA. You're not on Team USA. We're out here following our typical laws, and we're sitting here trying to, piece things together and find the best success. So that if we're, drop shotting a rig with 3 small flies on it, or whether we're Euro nymphing, or we're, draining an indicator with 4 BBs under it, finding what fits the situation needed, is a big key in the success here.
Yeah, definitely. A few more questions, a couple more, and we'll let y'all go. We're still getting new people joining here and there. So yeah, if you got
really
if
cool
you got
to see
questions, just ask us. I know everybody has to come and go and hop on and then get back to do whatever they're doing and then jump
Getting
back on.
kids ready for bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let us know, and we'll see if we can answer it before Juan gets tired and hungry again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll definitely report back with with what I've learned at Pyramid, that'd be a good one. I'm going to try to maybe do a lot more video and that kind of stuff and get it documented a little bit better. Just that's the hope.
I'm gonna drag your ass out.
Yeah.
We'll make sure Juan appears on more videos and maybe some live stuff on the river. Ever fished the Eagle or Gore Creek? Yes and no. I fished the Eagle, which is unreal, and Gore Creek, not yet. I've heard a
Never
lot
fished
of
more.
really
Or
cool stuff about it though.
Yeah.
So that's definitely on the list this year. Chase got all the questions.
Where's that? Where's that? You ever fished it? I have all the, throw them at us.
Favorite spring baitist pattern for under an indicator? Personal opinion.
Same thing. It falls under that midge.
It's gonna be one of those, you know,
Yeah.
my pattern, his pattern type deals. I mean, the cool thing I think I like about coming out after somebody like Juan is that I'm able to stay clear of his lane. Meaning Juan ties his whole shady series in a specific way to cover a specific profile and specific color schemes, which I feel like are all relevant on all the waters near us, right? Now, some of the patterns I tie, like let's say the Ghost Case Betas, right? Juan ties his Blueing Olives split case Slim Shady. That's a gray back with foam coming out the back. It's going to sit higher. It's got 2 beads in it. You know, there's a lot of differences. Mine has simple UV on the back to change the color. And that's why I was looking more of a color profile. Juan's hits a bigger type of mayfly that is actually in its emerging process, and it's going to sit higher up that you can throw as a dropper under a dry. You know, so definitely I'd say take a look at both. But Slim Shady series,
Yeah.
definitely going to be a huge one for the Spring Creeks. And definitely check out those kind of Ghost Case Betas and Crave Betas. Those are 2 other really good ones for those situations.
You have boxes,
Lots.
little boxes
Lots.
that you can buy.
Small boxes. Yeah,
Small boxes. So-
slider boxes.
Yes. So if you're looking for his patterns, here,
Yep.
here.
No, that's it. Yeah.
So I have boxes too. So if you want to reach out to either one of us, here's what you do. You get one of my boxes, you get one of his boxes, you fish them both together, combos.
Then you got what you need.
Yeah. But he's got these boxes. I don't know if you can see those very well, but how many flies you got in here? Like 30 or something like that, 25, something like that.
25 flies. I ran that deal at the fly show where I was, putting them out for $80 shipped.
Yep, sold
or
out.
on the spot, it was $75. But that kind of covers all the flies I use in the spring. Definitely key patterns all the way up to, the San Juan would be a good one for those. Pueblo, 11 Mile, South Platte, all your small creeks, kind of a little bit
stuff.
for everything. And then if you do reach out to me, I do end up throwing in 5 extra flies in there, kind of based on where you're fishing and what I would probably throw in there. Sorry. In addition to that, we have a question from Troutman. He says, how do you guys carry 3 rods on the river, or is it just legs are floating? No, we do. We actually put them on the bank. Probably the dumbest thing. And
But
we remind each other that we set them down, and clients are told to remind us to pick them up. But there has been rods left behind.
what I do is I quit wearing my hip pack, set that down, set my rods down. If I walk off, I'm leaving most of what I brought with me. So it helps me. You have to train yourself as well, but it
Yeah.
helps me to remind myself, hey, I brought like 6 rods. I'm missing 80% of what I brought with me to the river. So after a while, you learn.
You
really-
definitely carry more rods than I do. I'll
Yeah.
carry like 3, maybe if I'm alone.
Yeah.
Or on a guide trip, I'll carry 2 extra for how many clients I got. But no, I've seen Juan carry 6 rods on a solo trip.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, you have to almost train yourself, but there's definitely ways or if you have a jacket and you put it with it, you walk off, you're going to be missing something. So especially your pack.
Yeah.
If you walk off without your pack, hey, that's a big thing that I'm forgetting. So
I've left my net next to it because somebody catches a fish, reaches for your net, and
Yeah,
reminds
yeah.
you got rods back there.
yeah. So yeah, that's probably one of the things that you got to just kind of train yourself to remember that, it's just like when you got your phone, you always carry your phone with you now.
Yeah.
You never forget it, right? Well, some people do. A lot of people forget it a lot of times, but that may just be them. So yeah, it's just good way to just train yourself, and you can take multiple rods. my preference, if you take two rods and you're fishing with one, you put one down, it's a way lot easier to forget it than if you had two rods or even three rods because you're missing something, right? You
Yeah.
brought a lot in and you're walking out with a lot. So that it's a easier trigger for me to say I'm missing something.
And is that because do you take that many rods because you just don't want to change as much and you've got
Uh-huh.
kind of everything what you want it so that way anytime you move in the river you can kind of just be like this rod, this situation?
Yeah, so sometimes I'll have, let's say if I take two clients out, I'm taking four rods minimum.
Yeah.
That way I can switch you out, instead of standing there, hey, I got to retie, you broke off. If you break off a fish or something like that, I'm like, here, grab this one. We might have to add weight or swap it, change it up just a little bit. But generally, if we're starting out in the morning and we're trying to find out what the fish are doing, maybe they're not eating, we're fishing one rod, and then the other rod, I'm working back here, put more weight. Here, swap rods, fish it with more weight. And that may be the combo that you're getting down a little bit quicker. So instead of changing my flies, I change rods.
Yeah,
I
like a
have that
golfer.
luxury, yeah.
Juan's a fishing golfer,
Yeah.
is what he does. I carry more boxes and carry a lot of crap because I change.
And you
a lot.
change, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like you're one of the two. Either you're going to take more rods and gear or you take a bunch of gear so you can just switch out.
Yeah.
And
I'll always have, not always, but a lot of times I want to carry a dry fly rod too because
you're guilty of that.
I will put you on a dry fly if I see a fish
One
rising.
fish. I've been on days with you where you caught that one fish that rose and that was all you wanted. That's
Sometimes a
commitment.
rising fish is worth, one rising fish on a dry is worth 6 on a nymph.
Yeah.
And that just sometimes makes the day. So yeah. So I will carry multiple rods and I'm just used to it.
It's like a big golden corral sign as Juan walks down.
But I can also change, I have 2 to 3 flies here, 3 flies, 3 flies, 3 flies, and then 3 flies here. So I can fish 2 rods, let's say, and then I can swap you out. So I'm going through a lot of, so I can fish a leech on one as my attractor. I can fish a scud on one. I can fish a worm, and I can fish a stonefly, something like that. So I can try to have those combos covered, or at least hope to. So maybe sometimes dial in a little quicker, or change as needed. So yeah.
Antron?
Favorite material for dries? Well, let me see. For me, CDC.
Well, yeah. Well, that's kind of my overall favorite material.
Yeah.
Period. I think.
Yeah.
is
Very,
CDC.
very, very.
But I like Antron for dry. So if you mix CDC and Antron, that's a very good fly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I would go CDC for my number 1 pick, and then
Filling those new dubbing too.
that's good.
It's high floating stuff.
Yeah,
It's pre-treated. Did you see that?
I got the Parapost stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Snowshoe Hare's Foot. There
yeah.
you go.
And
That's the old school stuff.
Old
right there.
school. That's East Coast. No, I'm not going to say it's not West Coast or Western USA, but
It's like foundation fly
yeah,
tying right
yeah.
there.
Snowshoe's good. There was another one up here where I think I saw something here, question wise. Pyramid. When you go to this next weekend or next week I'll be there, and I think there's quite a few people probably going, but I'm sure there's quite a few people going anyways.
Yeah, it adds up, right?
Yeah.
You say you're going to Pyramid and everybody goes,
Yeah,
Mulmage, yeah, that's a good one.
yeah.
Mulmage is a staple.
Hmm.
I remember when you would say Mulmage, people go, huh?
And that was there's been that variation of it for a long time in the England has their own variation of that.
Well, then there's the Australian possum, and then it's great stuff. I mean, I've been using a lot of beaver.
Beavers.
Beaver's a good stuff.
Really good. I haven't tried it. Magpie Materials. He has the beaver dubbing and some other stuff.
Yeah, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Yeah, that stuff's great, man. And it's like because there's so few big fibers in there.
That's who it is.
You can like say you're doing a Black Beauty, right? That head is going to be like perfectly round instead of having random stuff shoot out. It's really cool. Hi from
Argentina. Nice.
Jealous.
Couple more questions. Then we'll call it good.
One's jonesing for another.
We gotta have another round of tacos. Bentley. What's wrong with you?
Bentley didn't go to school, so he makes up for Fred's a lot. Flooding the ark tomorrow. I will send pics. Hopefully, pics of fish. Knowing Che, you don't know what kind of pictures.
Is it Che?
Yeah, he's gonna be out in his little.
Oh, floating the
speedo.
ark with the honey.
That'll be cool.
She'll probably kick your butt.
So hopefully they get on some, man. I'm trying
It'll
to
be
go
good.
there soon.
It'll be good.
Who catches bigger fish out of you two?
It's like
On the pyramid.
I'm gonna catch bigger fish next week than he will. So.
Yeah, it depends on the week.
You know, it's one of those things like no matter who you fish with, sometimes you get the big fish, sometimes they do, and it goes back and forth. Sometimes you get your butt kicked and you just cannot buy a fish, whatever you do. And then there's other days where it's opposite, where your buddy's struggling or whatever it may do. But yeah, so
also
just
where
it
you
just
fish,
depends.
right?
Yeah,
Because you're gonna.
I've got my butt kicked guiding with this guy, where I cannot get a client on a fish, and we're doing the same exact thing. And sometimes, you know, you remember that, just like little simple changes or whatever
Yeah.
it may be. And then, so I've done that before where we're guiding together. I'm like, hey, dude, do something with this guy. Cause whatever I'm doing is not, I just don't have it today. Like, and I've done that with other guides too, where it's like come over here and let me put you on fish. And
Yeah.
it's just super simple. And it's just a change up, whatever it may be. So yeah.
It's about the situation. But
Mhm.
like, obviously the guys on the wand are gonna have a larger fish size average than we will, because they're around 30+ inch fish all the time. They just doesn't matter if you see them or not, they're there.
Yeah.
But it's like where we fish, there's 28 inches is a solid fish.
Yeah.
Like that's a big one. But then you're going to pyramid, so I'm gonna be very excited to see what you've been catching.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna try to go out there and see what I can go do. So I mean, but I'll learn from you. So there's gonna be a big change there.
Yeah. Do you mainly blind fish or sight fish? If we can sight fish, anytime we can sight fish, it makes
Yeah,
it
I'm
easy.
doing that.
Because you know, like yesterday in Pueblo, there was not a lot of fish, and it was really windy, so you got a lot of chop on the water. Half the time I couldn't see anything, and so that takes it away. Plus, you get clouds in there, and it just gets cloudy, so you're just blind fishing at that point, putting your flies where you expect fish to be. But when the sun comes out, the wind dies, and you're like, oh, there's fish right there. So you're casting. Yeah, you're casting to those, and a lot of times you can get those fish to eat, or at least get a shot at them. But if you never see them, you're missing a lot of fish.
I feel like when you see them, your first shot's the best. They're like way better, and you probably can get more than one shot. If you
Yeah.
can't see them, you don't
Yeah.
know if you've hit them in the head and spooked them. You don't.
So
Right.
yesterday, my client, that was the first fish he hooked and landed yesterday, which was also his first fish he hooked and landed on a river. So we spotted a fish, and you walk him through, hey, you gotta make that cast, you gotta, do this, do that. And he executed the cast just right. It went by, fish moved, boom, stuck him, landed him. So that was really good. But if we wouldn't have seen that fish, we would have spooked it,
Yeah.
because you just can't see some of that stuff.
But then when they can't see you, you can't see them. So
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
one of those situations
Yeah.
where there's benefits and not to both. But yeah, if I can sight fish a client onto a fish, I'm doing it.
Yep.
If I can sight fish a fish by myself, I'm doing it.
Yeah. Because you can
It's so much cooler to watch it.
you can get them to eat. You can watch them, and if you can watch them eat, and so what I do when I'm guiding, they're focused on their indicator. I'm watching that fish, and if like today we saw that just boop, and we missed that fish, but he ate our fly.
Yeah.
Again, I blame the fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's if I can see it happen, we got a better chance of getting that fish to eat or getting that fish in the net. So trout bitten's in here.
I like that.
How much has angler pressure changed your pattern selection? Yeah,
A lot.
I've been thinking a lot about this, is what he says. And yes, a lot.
It's got way more technical, got more match to the hatch type situation. But like we said about the pheasant tail, it used to be a really consistent fly around here, and now there's better options, right? And that would be exactly why. Everybody can go buy a pheasant tail, So I do think, even fly designers have a little bit of an edge in this busier market, but it's definitely changed our
Yeah.
pattern selection 100%.
Yeah. And as we get flies in the market too, and we want people fishing them. It, you'll see a spike in how well they sell, and the good ones keep selling well. And as fly designers and guides ourselves, we're already 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of where we were,
Yeah.
and we're in the next evolution of things, and stuff hasn't been released, or we're still testing them, or they haven't been. Um, there's not a lot of information about them, but we're secretly fishing them.
Yeah, we're wearing the new Jordans before they came
Yeah,
out.
exactly. So we're on version 7.0, and you're fishing 5.0s.
And it's a huge difference, but I mean, and that's going to keep evolving. The more pressure it is, the more available. It's like I feel like anymore when I read a fly fishing report, it's to tell me what not to use. It would be the best way I can put that. It's something I may use as a guideline to, hey, maybe I should be throwing a Betis of some sort, but it's like as for that specific fly, I'm going to avoid that specific
Yeah.
fly, especially in the size it's probably recommended.
And you've heard us, and we've said this a lot. Where again, going back to the tractor patterns, do you have to fish an attractor? No.
No.
You don't have to fish a worm. You don't have to fish a scad or a stonefly or a mott fly or anything that is an attractor in that sense, because everybody else is doing that. And
Yeah.
so if you can match, maybe instead of going 3 flies, go 2 flies with a medium, and you can fish a pheasant tail, right?
Yeah.
It still works, but followed up by something a little bit more super specific, midge
Detailed.
larva, whatever it may be, the bug of season in that time frame. Or you can just go specific and then super specific and maybe smaller.
Yeah.
So I always think that if you go smaller, right out the gate, sometimes you're going to have a better chance of getting those fish to eat.
And I think that's what we typically do is we go small up. We upsize as necessary.
Mhm.
Where your average fisherman will probably try to downsize as necessary. And we'll hit that mark quicker because we're closer to what the
Yeah.
bugs really are at versus,
Yeah.
your guy throwing a size 16 pheasant tail working his way down to a 20.
Yeah. So and we don't fish a lot of Euro nymphs on the tailwaters because that's not what they're seeing, and I was explaining to my client today about specifically here, if I'm fishing one day in say Deckers, and I'm fishing a scud, they're eating it, and then the next day I have a guide trip down on the arc, I'm not fishing a scud as my attractor because there's
No.
very few scuds, and vice versa. If I'm fishing stoneflies on the arc, and then I have a trip the next day on the dream stream, I'm not running that same stonefly as my attractor because there's less stoneflies in that system. I'm not saying there's not stoneflies. There's a lot of yellow sallies, but maybe a bigger golden stone. I'm not running that, or even in 11 Mile Canyon
You know what
or Pueblo even.
I have noticed, like, as it comes to jig style flies, besides your jig buggers and stuff like that, I have noticed, tailwaters, it's really hard
Mm-hmm.
with those specific flies. What I have noticed is Perdigon style flies now capitalize. And I found myself tying them with 1.5 millimeter beads, 2 millimeter
mils.
beads.
And that's about it.
Yeah, and you can run the two 1.5s and be able to get down if they're spaced correctly and stuff, and get into that whole, Euro thing.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite ways to fish in the spring is to throw two Perdigons in a row, straight in line, and just walk them down. Like it teaches you so much about fly sinking and how fast tippets and diameters of your leader sink and everything. But it has been a big difference because the more I think about it, the less jig style flies I'm going and more of a down eye Perdigon style fly.
Size 20.
20, 22 even, like
The little jig force shorts and
jig
24s.
force shorts. So
So
it is a little different on our tailwaters, but then you go up to the upper arc and like you're saying, you can throw a lot of cool,
16s and 18s.
yeah, and that's what we're running out our hoppers in the middle of summer for hopper dropper
Yeah.
setups, and it's a huge difference in almost like being spoiled.
Yeah.
I feel like because we can get away with more, and it's an opportunity to just throw bigger bugs where we get so tailwater locked that a 28 is like a standard,
Yeah.
and that
If you don't
sucks.
have it, you're out of luck. Now, I've also noticed over the years doing this, what is a hot fly one year is not a hot fly the next year. So you go and you tie a bunch of these, and then
Yeah.
you're just like, you know what? I didn't really use. I used like 6 of them.
Yeah.
So I tied 6 dozen, and I used 6 of them last year. 6 flies, half a dozen flies, and so that's kind of one of those things that we run into sometimes. Is we just change our styles, change our flies, and so you might have a hot fly of 2022 was the hot fly. In 23 you're throwing something different. 24 you're throwing something different. Come back around on 25 and throw those ones again and see if they're fishing and eating them a lot.
Your kryptonite caddis, for me personally, has been that.
Yeah,
Like some years, boom,
Boom.
like then it's not. But then you did that like amber one, and that one really hit,
color.
and that was a good one for me.
Yeah.
We had one here. What do you guys think of tying a size 20 or a 22 on a size 16 or 18 just to have a bigger hook? That's something I had to deal with on the San Juan, man. You can tie a size 28. You can hook a 32-inch fish on it. The chances of you getting that fish in on that hook is like a miracle, or a fish is going to die out of exhaustion. So you end up tying shorter on a 22, right? Bigger, stouter hook. You get to fight the fish a little harder, use a little bit more force on it. But as for tying a 22 on a size 16 or even an 18, that
I
might
change
be
it.
that might be pushing depending on what hook. Personally, like I said, seeing something different, my eye tells me no, it's wrong. But
Yeah.
like,
I'd rather tie it on 22 or
rather-
20 even.
yeah. I'm thinking more if you were going to go 24, 26, tying it more on a 22, that would be a little better option.
Yeah. So just the whole fly talk discussion. At any point, if you can go smaller. Now there's not a lot of smaller here for us
Yeah.
because we're fishing that 2022, but we can always go 24s. There is a difference. So yeah, if you're not used to fishing the small stuff, definitely give it a shot. I know one of my buddies in Georgia, he's fishing a lot of Slim Shadys and a lot of Jedis, and that's just not something they do there. It's just like, say, in Montana. But if
Yeah.
you fish those, because you got small bugs everywhere. Smaller
Everywhere.
bugs. Small bugs grow into bigger bugs.
Yeah, there's
So-
midges in the freestones. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. And they might be top out at 18 or 20.
Yeah.
So you can still fish, but before that, they were size 22. They were size 24 before that. Especially like on the Arkansas right now, we're in the beta season, but those betas are 24s and 22s.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get much bigger. So you can get away with a 20, but you're probably not going to see too many 18s.
but then there are situations where I've seen skinny, bigger nymphs,
Mhm.
that I've been throwing 16, tying betas up into size 16s
Yeah.
to mimic those because they're just so skinny or smaller
Yeah.
in thickness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, mess with the hook sizes, but be cautious of the style of the hook it is and how big of a jump you're making.
Definitely. So we're 2 hours in this thing. We'll finish up. Maybe one more question. Somebody? Anybody? Somebody asked about pizza. Pineapple on pizza?
Where?
No. Back here.
Depends. How
Yeah.
can you just give it a no?
Right there.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Dude, if you chili coat it and toast it, I'm putting it on a pizza.
Okay. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
pizza and ham. I mean, pineapple and ham
And
on
bacon.
pizza.
And bacon.
No, not bacon, just pineapple. And
Is
pizza.
the pineapple caramelized? I mean, come on,
No.
man. Details. If it's
No,
not
just-
caramelized,
Just out of a dull can, put on
I
pizza,
will say-
and then put in the oven.
I'll say cold pineapple Hawaiian pizza
Hawaiian pizza.
is the best cold. If you can't heat it up, no microwave, you're on the river, having a
It'll
little
be
bit of
good on
sweet
the
on there,
river,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then if it comes to like hot melting, I'm throwing I like the all meat kind of.
Let's see what Bentley keeps bugging me. Wants to be in this. Okay, Bentley. You're in. You got caller number 1.
Should I fish deeper on Sunday if I head to the gym? I don't think depth's gonna change, man. It's just trying to find fish that haven't been annoyed yet.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hit or miss. You're gonna get a spot. You're not gonna get a spot. It's
Yeah.
relative, man.
Yeah. Um, there's some that are deeper, but we got our butts kicked by that big fish today. We did go deeper. We couldn't see it. We didn't sight fish, but we fished where we should have, and he ate, and he was on for about 10 seconds maybe. He kicked our butt.
Anchovies on pizza.
Oh, no.
It depends.
Pass.
And once again, it depends. Maldonado.
Bacon.
Maldonado does it. He ain't crazy.
Is that Maldo?
No, but
So this one
that's
says
another
bacon,
one.
jalapeno, and cream cheese.
The hell yeah.
I try it. I mean, yeah, I would.
If you bring me any pizza and I'm on the river, I will not criticize you.
Yeah.
I'll eat it.
I would eat pineapple and ham.
That's what
on
I'm
the
saying.
river.
On the river.
It's not my favorite.
But cold on the river, it's a good
Chocolate
pizza.
Thunder or phone back merger. You already know the answer to this. It's never a Chocolate Thunder. Never, ever. It's a phone back merger.
Chocolate phone back merger.
Bentley wanted to be in my video, so I said okay. And then he declined. He said wrong button, miss phone.
He's not
text
ready
school.
for
I
that
was
friend
fishing.
step yet.
Man.
He's working his way to it. It's
Yeah.
social cues.
Okay, so
Any more questions?
we good? Yeah, thank you on the. I'm assuming you're thanking me for chocolate foam back and merger, not a chocolate thunder. If you refer to the chocolate foam back and merger as a chocolate thunder, my 1000% feeling is that you are a new fly fisher and you exposed yourself by calling it a chocolate thunder. That is just my personal opinion. I will fight you on that.
He will.
Yeah,
Tooth and nail.
yeah. So yes,
Chocolate Thunder was my nickname in college.
send pictures or we won't believe you. Chocolate thunder down under.
I always thought that was somebody's sex stripper.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, it's perfect in so many ways.
We'll do more of these because you guys are cool.
Yeah, dude. The more times that we get to talk with you guys and
Yeah.
answer what you want to know and laugh a little bit, that's what it's about.
And again, it's always ever evolving. The seasons are ever changing, and we're finding new things out. Fish are doing this, all that stuff. So yeah, we want to hear what you guys are doing. What you guys give us intel as well. You're fishing, floating the arc. It's going to be skinny, but we'll find out information how it was later down the road. And so yeah, we like you guys tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll do more of these. And if you have questions, you can always send us the questions,
Yeah, shoot us a message or
and that way
something.
we can cover that.
I even had Che called me with somebody from the fly shop with a question
Yeah.
the other day, and I answered, so that was really cool.
Favorite mott fly material. A couple of things. Ever tuck your second rod in your waders? No, just on the bank.
I did it once, and I folded it out. Bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not that.
Especially if it falls into your leg.
What do you guys think of tying the body on the side? So you covered that one. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Thank you, guys. See you on the water soon. Carbo. Nice. Carbo loading.
I love carbo.
So yeah, we're gonna sign off. It's 9 o'clock right now. Somebody needs to eat more tacos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to bed. Cool.
All right.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
guys soon. Thank you.